Hello. Welcome to TRG Central. Today we're going to go over how to upgrade your game from version 2.2 to version 2.3.122, and that is called patch 3A for the game. So, the first thing you do is we'll get the game started up. And you'll see up in the upper left hand corner, and this is version 2.2.0141. You can also see it by looking in the About, and it's right there. Okay, so we hit the return, and we X out. Now if you install the game via the defaults that we gave you, your folder structure should look like this. It should be on the C drive, and there should be a folder called TRG. Opening up the TRG folder, you see quite a few different subfolders, and if you scroll all the way down to the end, you'll see this version here, and you see it says 2.2.0141, just like it did when we started up the game. So essentially we'll be removing this and bringing up the new. The first thing that I normally do is I either move the current program for the game, or I just rename it. So we'll just rename this one, and you can rename it whatever you want. I usually use the date modified, which is over here. So that's going to be 2021-01-06. And click it, and voila, it's been renamed. And if you start up the game, it will not find it because you don't have a TRG program named TRG. And verify that when you're starting it up, and you see it doesn't relate to anything. Okay, so now we're all set. Renamed our current TRG program. And now we need to go over to the ASRG, ASC Games website and pull the current patch. So I'm just going to back up here real quick and show you how I got to the website. So it's ascgames.com. Now when you initially loaded your game, you came to the PC demos and went to the TRG demo page and loaded it. But for the patch and update, you can go to the free downloads page, click it, and you have to scroll almost all the way down. I think they are in alphabetical order. So anyway, you get the Thoroughbred Racing Game free demos. Now, along with the patch that we're going to do today, there are other things that you may be interested in that are available for free for the game. And you can just scroll down, and you'll see there's a few things here. There's the PC rulebook, basic install. You can download horses by the season. That's a PDF that lists every single season that's available for the game, and all the horses and jockeys that are available in each one of the seasons. So if you're looking for a particular horse, or if we have a particular season, you like to know what horses they're in, you can use this. So let's go back up a little ways here, and we're going to go ahead and do the update to the install. And you can read this here. description past fixes a few issues and has many enhancements like replay race view and camera snapshots throughout the race, auto jockey enhanced decision making along with over 20 new parameters available to tweak the game to the user's preferences. There's also a maintenance log. You can just click it. And here's the maintenance log, and if you want to save it, you can just click on the save button. This is a PDF. Click on the save button, and then it'll save it to, and this is what's called, it'll save it to your downloads folder. Oh, there you go. Now you have the patch, and if you just scroll through it, you'll see everything that an enhancement is right. The type is enhancement, and there'll be a few fixes too. Like here's an issue here that was fixed, and so forth. Okay, so let's get out of this. And now we'll go back to downloading. So to do that, it's the same idea as downloading the maintenance patch. And see, if you right click, you get some options here. But not really the option that I'm looking for, so I'll just click it. And as you see, it pops up here with a little message, and it says it downloaded it. And you can open the file, but that's not what we really want to do right now. You can use this icon and go directly to it. And it brings up the downloads folder. As you see, there is my maintenance patch, and now we have the package there. So I'm just going to X out of this for a second, and we're now finished with the ASC Games website. So get rid of that. And then now we go to our C drive. When you get to the C drive, you'll need to go to the downloads page. And there's the two items, or two files that we downloaded from the ASU website. Let's go ahead. We're going to move to maintenance patch. So we'll just do a copy. And we'll bring up the C drive again. And go to the TRG folder. And usually, well, as you see here, we've already put the patch in. But you can put it in your help folder. You can create a new folder or patch or whatever. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's just rename this. And let me just show you how to do that. So let's go ahead and make another folder called Patch 3A. And we go up to where it says New Folder, and we new. And you see how the next one's color. And you click on it, and then and it just names that folder. So you open it up, should still be able to do a paste. And there's the paste. And now we've copied the maintenance log over to here from here. Now, I'll just delete it for a second here. There we go. Get rid of, you can also drag and drop it. Now this will actually move the patch from your downloads folder to the patch folder. And we want to do the same thing with the package, because you like to keep a copy of it, and you really don't want to always keep everything in the downloads page. At least I don't. And I always bring the patches into the TRG folder. And as you see here, I made a subfolder called Patch 3A. So we're done with the downloads folder, so we can X out of that and just concentrate on the TRG patch 3A. Now this is a zip file, as you can see. That's the name, and this is going to be the new version number, 2.3.122. So it's a zip file, so you have to unzip it. So you click it, and then you'll see everything that's needed to install the patch. So what I do is I need to copy all these, well, you're going to actually unzip them. So an easy way to do it is to highlight all the different files and do copy, and then back it up and do a paste, and then voila, all the items that were in the zip file were copied. And of course they're all still in the zip file. Now you can also do this via the leaving this zip file in the downloads folder and opening the zip file and then just dragging and dropping all of the different files of the patch to its own folder underneath, its own subfolder underneath the TRG folder. Whichever way, it doesn't really matter, just as long as you have all the patch information, for all the patch files together. And the only thing you need to do is to find the one that says application, and that's setup application. There's also another setup file, that's a file that has parameters in it. You do not start that one, you start up the setup, the one that has the type application, and it also has a little computer icon. Okay, so you can start it up. And I want to allow it to make changes to my computer. And if you remember your previous original demo install, this is a very similar process. It asks you if you want to install the program, you set up, and say OK. And always make sure that when you begin the installation for any of the patches, that you are pointing it to the TRG folder, because the patch is going to update files that are in the TRG folder. If you change this to something else, then the patch is not going to apply correctly. And if you would happen to if you would happen to install the demo in a different directory other than the default one that we give you, that's TRG, then you need to make sure that this directory is changed to the directory that you installed your game in. So I always install a game in the TRG folder, and I always know that I just need to install patches in the TRG folder. So we have that done. We come up here and click the button, and then this is going to give you the program group, and that's essentially allowing Windows to know where the program is and what it's called. Now, if you had already have done this with the demo install, this is already all set up, and this is exactly the same as the demo. So the patch 3A, it's still the same program group as the original. So you just click continue, and then it copies everything that needs to be done. Also, every once in a while you'll get a version conflict, and the idea is the file being copied is older than the current file on your system. Normally, the rule of thumb is if you have a copy that's older than what you currently have, you just skip it. I want to keep this file. Yeah, I want to keep the one that's on my C drive in the TRG folder. This particular one is probably exactly the same as the one that's on the hard drive already, So we'll just keep the newer one. Otherwise, if the file is newer in the patch than what you have on your PC, it'll automatically go ahead and copy and replace it. So here you just have to say, yeah, I want to keep the older one. If you do, you do yes. Very seldom will let the instructions tell you to do so. You always keep your current version and most always never copy an older version from your install to your PC unless otherwise instructed in the instructions. So, yes. Same thing here. It's just a PDF and we made no changes to it. Same thing with this. This. And then we just went through all of those. We made sure that the newer copies on our PC were kept and not overwritten by older copies in the patch. And for the TRG game, normally the patch is, if it says that the patch is an older version, normally it's the same. So you're not really making any changes. So. Alright, so it says it's finished. Okay, now we're finished with this. I guess I forgot to mention to you that there are instructions to install the patch. And there's also the basic instructions, which you should already have had from the demo. But you would click on the install instructions. It pretty much does the same thing that I just walked you through. Make sure the run setup is that. Make sure the folder and the install is pointing to where your game is actually run from. You unzip the package in the edit folder, like it said. I created a folder called Patch 3A. And that's about it. Oh, and I guess the other thing I could mention that about the Parameters.ini file. Parameters.ini file, as it says here, overrides many game options. And we install the most current INI file each time that we have a patch applied, and we also now have another parameters INI file called parameters new, and all that does is a list of all the parameters that are available in the game. I should back up here. This parameters.ini file, we never change it because you have already set up your parameters the way you want to play the game. So we'll never overwrite that. What we do is we give you another INI file new, which has all the parameters that's available to change in the game, and then you would need to just look through the parameters and then decide if any of those parameters, decide if you like any of those parameters, and if so, then you would copy the parameter from this parameters new file into the regular parameters INI. And we'll go ahead and do that too after we make sure that we now have the new version of the game up and running. And remember, it's version 2.3.122. X out of the file, and we're done with this. We can just minimize it. Now we'll start up the game and see what happens. Okay, this will always pop up each time that the version number of the game that's stored in the database is different from the version number of the program. And as you see, if you remember, the original version was 2.2.141. The patch applies 2.3.122. So that says, yes, there's a new patch, and then you need to acknowledge that you want to keep that patch for the game. And this is also very useful in case you somehow went backwards. Like this might have said old version was 2.3.122 and the new version said 2.2.141. Well, if you didn't really want to go back to the old version, this will stop the game and ask you if you really wanted to go back to the old version. And if you didn't, you type in no, you click in no, and then you go back into your folders and try to figure out why in the world the game decided to use an older version of the program. Well, in this case here, we'll acknowledge that yes, we want to keep the patch. And then it just mentioned that the database is updated with the new version number. And voila, now you are running the new version. You see the new version up here. You go to the menu and go to About, and there you go. See, you can even tell that it's a different version because the screen has been enhanced a little bit. There's also some other nice things that the About screen does besides version. It gives you your registration number, tells you a little bit about playtesters, and game. It also tells you the three main databases for the game and where they're located. The registration key and serial number should match, and the game is written by myself and Bill Fong. We return, and now you're all set to play the game. You've been updated, and like I said, you go over the patch maintenance log, and you can see what things have been fixed and what new enhancements are available for the game. So that concludes updating the version of the game to a newer version. And I did mention that I was going to go over some parameters INI file real quick. So we go back to the TRG folder, and you can see there's a parameters new, and there's the parameters file. This one here is the newer one that I've been working on, and these are just older ones. So anyway, you click on your parameters file, you see all the parameters that you can use for the game. Well, these are all the parameters I have, I'm using for my game. Okay. And you can see there's a bunch of things, and the 300s are all part of the table management system that I'm working on now, so those won't be available to you yet. Same thing up here with this option, turns on the table management system. In your version, there is nothing about that. So anyway, we'll X out of that. But the key is this parameters new. And I went, each here were the default parameters that came with the demo. And then everything below are all the parameters available to you to change. A lot of them are marked with new, that means they're new parameters for this patch. So you can go through all of these and determine which parameters look interesting that you would like to use in your game. The only thing I'd like to mention is the format. The format must be a parameter number followed by the parameter type. So this means this is like a description for winner circle. And then the third parameter is always the third field of this parameter string is always what the parameter is going to be set to. In this case here, it's going to look for winner dice circle shape JPEG to get the picture for the winner circle. And there are options. It's parameter option 7. It has to do with the top horses list, and you can tell it how many horses in the listing. That's that listing that popped up at the beginning of the game. Same thing with option 8. You can export that top horses listing, and you can export a different number if you like. So here you'll be visually presented with 10, and if you export it, you'll get the top 20. And then very important is the 999 EOF. It must be the last parameter in your file. After that will be comments. The game will not read anything past 999, so you can place comments and various information below that. Also, do not put a blank line in between because the game also interprets a blank line as the end of the file and it'll stop reading. So in this case, you'll only read the first parameter and you will not have the next parameters read, which means they won't be set to the settings that you had provided. So make sure there's no blank line between your first option and option 999. Okay, I think that's about it. So I think we'll call it a day here from TRG Central. I hope this helps any of the users that are updating the patch 3A. So this is Gary signing off from TRG Central.